It's you guys again. Bet you're gonna be smoking cigars around me, huh? Meh, meh. You know it. Canker sore of doom officially defeated, we have returned to our regular scheduled programming and stogie review session times. Weather's good. I'm in t-shirt, shorts. Dorian, the bearded dragon, my little smoking buddy, is with me today because, well, it's just warm enough and sunny enough for her to be out here. And on top of that, too, it is a little bit on the windy side. So we are down in the lower portion of the park near my house in Japan to smoke so that, well, we can get to what you're about to see here in a moment. Ah, there you are. This interestingly named, yet relatively nondescript at the same time, cigar is made by Blackbird Cigar Company. This is part of their Glitch series, and this is obviously the Claro version. While it may have a very, well, typical Ecuadorian shade-grown Connecticut wrapper on it, which is, very nice and shiny and clean, it has a Mexican binder inside of it that is presumably from the San Andres region, as well as US and Dominican fillers inside. It's not often that I smoke a cigar and immediately return to it, well, as my next sample stick or review cigar. Typically, I spend a little bit of time in between cigars and then return to it with, a fresh palate, fresh sense of mind, a little bit less jaded, shall we say, and go back and smoke it again for my review and then really give it a once over. But I smoked this yesterday and was so impressed with it that I immediately told myself, I got to go back and do it again, because this is a Connecticut shade that struck some interesting notes on my palate that I don't get all that often in this kind of blend. A quick whiff from the foot will tell you everything you need to know about what you're going to be experiencing for the most part. Lemon, ginger, a little bit of mixed baking spice, again, almost like a ginger snap cookie. And that is enticing to me because I love herb teas and iced teas, especially when there's like a ginger simple syrup, which coincidentally I do have in here with a little bit of lemon juice. And these two together, we cannot recommend them enough. The other thing about this cigar that I really do like is its construction. It's just very well packed. It's just tight enough with just a little bit of spring here and there. The last one burned great. This one should too, from the feel and look of it. And for the value-minded individual, this stick offers wonderful price points. $27.45 on our website for a 5-pack. I mean, that's just a budget bargain banger, baby. So let's get to it, shall we? Cold pulls are a little bit more on the nuttier end. Almonds, definitely. Not toasted almonds, just raw almonds, very milky. And more baking spice than what you get on the nose. The ginger doesn't really come through so much until afterward. And you get a little tingle on the palate. Oh, how I've missed smoking cigars every day when I get into my car. I can't get over how good this cigar is. I haven't even really gotten in the review yet. I'm already in love with it again. It's got ginger to it. I swear they infused it with ginger, and it's sweet too. The finish on the cigar is longer than one might expect, and that longer finish provides the palate with this coating of sugary like tobacco sweetness that goes really well with that ginger. And there's a little bit of ginger spice inside. I don't know what tobaccos were used in, except that it's, for the filler, except that it's Dominican and US grown. But whew, fantastic start to the cigar. The first third continues to hold true to the ginger snap cookie like flavor. A little bit of cinnamon, a little bit of doughy breadiness. perhaps a little salinity to a little salt to balance off the sweetness, which again, this is still a very, very sweet tasting cigar. The tobacco itself, without being, sweet and tip, it's not a sweet and tip cigar. Don't get me wrong there. But within the first third, you also start to develop a lemongrass, lemon tea-like flavor, which lemon and ginger go really well together, and that continues to grow. Now you can pair water with this as well and still get a lot of ginger notes. I did that as well, and just because I was, am I crazy? Am I tasting ginger? Is it just from my drink? But no, it was not from the drink. It was from the cigar. So yeah, I'm curious to hear what you all think once you go through and pair this with water, because either way, you're going to get some ginger lemon tea out of this. I can almost guarantee it. Unlike the last Blackbird cigar I reviewed, which was the Finch Sumatra, which had terrible burn issues and needed to be touched up repeatedly on both sticks that I smoked. This one, like the last one, has a very nice, long building white ash. And even though it's a bit of a wavy burn line, it continues to fix itself, just like the last stick. So let's hope that that continues to be the case throughout. After ashing off the first third of the cigar, which the ash was the entire first third, that's how nice of an ash this thing builds, I have begun to assess some secondary notes on the cigar. It's still very much lemon, ginger snap tea-like forward with a little bit of baking spice and a little white pepper tossed in for mild peppery strength. The secondary note of buttery Ritz crackers starts to come in. It's not super prominent, and it's not a transition by any means. It's just, again, a layering of a secondary note underneath everything else. Makes the cigar a little bit more rounded at this portion and very, very desirable in my opinion. It really does bring a little more balance to the smoke. Tasty. Now, before I get around to giving the second, third a touch up, because unfortunately it does need one, I want to make note that flavors of toasted almonds start to come through right around the halfway point or just beyond it. The first cigar was the same way. It's a nice secondary note to go with everything previously mentioned, and it adds a little bit more body to the cigar. We're still talking medium minus for everything here, if that. I mean, mild plus, if that's such a thing. Very, very smooth though, very tasty. It burns cool. I haven't had any overheating issues with this stick or the previous smoke as well. So, doing well outside of, well, the obvious construction issue at this point in the cigar. The final third of this cigar creates a bit of a transition. Not a huge one, but a subtle move toward a little bit of a drier, oakier note. Some tannins for sure. And yeah, more nuttiness. That toasted almond flavor really steps forth and overpowers the ginger-like spice. There is still some tingle on the tongue, though. More of a white pepper tingle. Nothing really intense, but you do get it on the sides and back of the palate. Sweetness dies back a bit, but it still has a residual sweetness to the taste of the cigar. And some people may find it to be like honey-like. I find it to be more like brown sugar or turbinado. And that's delicious. Something that I personally appreciate about this cigar, though, is that the band matches the leash on my pet dragon. No, right, Dory? Look, we're matching today. Yeah. I don't care, Dad. Take me off the leash. Let me go run around. It's an adventure out here in this jungle. The jungle. As I smoke away on the parting puffs section, I have to compliment Blackbird again for their ability to blend up a cigar that is an Ecuadorian shade that doesn't get super charry or funky or off flavored at all. It's still very enjoyable at this section and more tea-like than before. It's been tea-like since the beginning, but now it's just a little bit more notable. Mixture of green and black tea. And the sweetness still holds true behind it after you exhale. The mouthfeel has still been fairly round and the finish has been quite long. And so has the hash for that matter. Construction-wise, the smoke has been stellar outside of that one fairly considerable touch-up that I had to do after the second third. But outside of that one touch-up I had to do, I can't find too many faults with this cigar. The blend is very tasty. It could have used a little bit more depth and from the beginning, and that nuttiness wasn't right away. It took a while until it really started to develop, but that's okay. And it's not the most life-changing cigar you'll ever smoke, but then again, for less than 30 bucks a 5-pack, I can't really fault them for, well, keeping it simple and straightforward and delicious. This is really just an EDC, in my opinion, or an everyday cigar. You can smoke it anytime and get, well, these awesome results and flavor profiles, which earn it a 4.4 out of 5, in my opinion. Again, it could have been a little bit more complex at times. It could have had some more exciting transitions, but then again, maybe it's not supposed to be that way, and that's all right too.